to Adventures with ADHD, where I get to shine the spotlight on fabulous neurodivergent people. And today I've got Jemima Wilcox
Yeah.
from the Willcox Collective. So, hi, Jemima. Thank you so much for coming today.
Hello, it's been a delight to be here with you, Suzi. I'm so excited to have this interview with you.
Thank you. So, let's get straight into it. So, Jemima, tell us a bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Yes, so my name is Jemima. I am the co-founder of the Willcox Collective, the NeuroSpicy entrepreneur, and XW3D Makes. The Willcox Collective are a Cambridge-based company. We are adventurers on a quest to deliver authentic, personality-driven visual content for businesses like yours. And this is my tongue twister. Let's see if I can get this right. We create eye-catching, scroll-stopping, tongue-wagging, like-tapping, link-clicking, comment-leaving, crowd-pleasing content with feeling.
Wow.
We have other brands in the collective family that are powered by the collective. The NeuroSpicy entrepreneur is a community. We champion neurodivergent entrepreneurs by sharing our stories, and through our community, which are for people that are wired differently, business owners, NSEC, NeuroSpicy Entrepreneur Club, and XW3D. We 3D print things you didn't know you needed, which generally are tactile, eye-catching, and sustainably made sensory objects like these.
Oh my gosh, is that a dragon or?
It is a dragon. It's a 3D printed flexi fidget dragon. Unfortunately, I don't have that. I do. And also we do fidget toys as well.
Oh my gosh. Where can we get those? I need that dragon in my life right now.
Yes, so we do a selection of dragons, big and small, creatures, critters, animals, can be bought directly from our website, xw3d.co.uk.
Brilliant. Thank you. And we will include Jemima's links in the show notes. So don't madly write that down if you're watching or listening right now. Fabulous. Thank you, Jemima. So we always start with your story. So can you tell us a bit about your journey to recognizing and realizing that you're neurodivergent yourself?
Of course. So it's something I've known all the way through my life. It's always been there. It's part of my personality and part of me. I'm dyslexic. So my brain is very much wired differently in the way that I think, the approaches I take to things, and the creative nature that I have, thus being in an industry and a business which is creating photography, videography, content. That's always, worked very well for me. All through away school, I'd always particularly struggled with maths, writing, adding up, simple stuff like that. English was something I was passionate about, but was very frustrated that I wasn't able to get thoughts out of my head onto the paper legibly. So throughout school, I was given support, but this is in the mid-90s, where computers didn't really exist, and assistive technologies were in its very much in infancy. But I wasn't till university, when I went to do a degree at Anglia Ruskin, BA Honours in photography, that I got the support when I arrived. So I was given disabled students allowance. I had a computer. I had I think it was Dragon Read and Write, the software they gave you, and a support person to help me get through. So yeah, I've reflected quite heavily on this of late. At that time in my life, it was, I'm dyslexic. Okay, let's get on with it. Not, what does this mean to me? How do I work with this? How am I different from everybody else? How do I fit in? It was literally, great, I know this helps me, I can tell people, let's get on with it. There wasn't much of a thought about it. Throughout my life, I've lived from London. I grew up in London. I moved to Cambridge in the early 2000s, and then I went through higher education, college, university here. When I completed my degree in 2012, I moved to Manchester because I desired a bigger city and more things. Didn't work out, but it was an experience, and I'm glad I did it. But I returned back to Cambridge, and then when I returned, I've worked all the way through my life, through college, through university, but I have jumped from job to job to job, and I've never known really why. I never knew what it was. I would, be very engaged with a job for maybe 6 to 9 months, and then I'd get lethargic and bored, and then I'd be like, I'd either get fired or I'd quit and move on. And then I took a particular job when I really wanted to get into marketing, and I wanted to combine my creative photography skills with marketing. I took a lot of volunteer work, and throughout that time, I was growing my skills and knowledge. And I took a role working in a car dealership doing marketing, and I hated it. It
Right.
was horrible. It was the expectations were completely unreasonable of me. The environment was awful, and I was coming home crying every day. And my husband's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I said, "Well, I can't deal with this." Isn't it? He went, "Quit, leave." And I was like, "We can't do that. It's not going to work." He went, "No, we'll deal with it." And that was the day where I made the decision to move and go into working for myself. And I think that was the best decision I ever made. And that was in October, just under 8 years ago. So we celebrate 8 years in business in October. But that was the awakening for me to do things how I wanted, to run my life how I wanted, to not have to be in a rigid, conformed system of 9 to 5, an hour lunch, and these are your breaks. You cannot fidget at your desk, you have to stay in this one place. And yeah, so the progress through that with my career, we built as being a portrait photographer myself, built the company over quite a number of years. In 2019, me and my husband agreed that we wanted to do something together. That's the year we got married, so we wanted to create things together. Thus, the Willcox Collective was born. So it's an evolution of me as a person and my values. As a photographer, I want to always raise individuals up, help them, be more than they are, and give them their awareness by giving them personality filled content, be it photography and things like that. The collective was the evolution of this. It's the evolution of being able to have a collective of photographers and videographers. We stand at about 28 now across the UK and worldwide. So it's such a passionate endeavor to be able to start offering companies, individuals, really personality filled content,
Yeah.
also video at the same time. And throughout the time, in the last kind of year or so, this is where things like the 3D printing have come in. That was a that was a lockdown project that got out of hand and still going. The NeuroSpicy Entrepreneur was the advent of a community that I felt needed to happen, because my husband, about 18 months ago, was diagnosed with ADHD. So I then went through this process with him of seeing him as an adult be diagnosed with something that, as myself, he was with ADHD, with dyslexia myself, but being told he's neurodivergent and seeing that process really opened my eyes, and got opportunities to talk about my experience, which has actually kicked off the NeuroSpicy Entrepreneur idea. Was the talk I did for Anglia Ruskin, which was paid. Yay! It was always good. Was She's Wired Differently, The Adventures of a NeuroSpicy Entrepreneur. And that was the year where I went, there's a need for this. There's a desire for learn. There's a desire to, especially my real passion about it is, it's the intersectionality of personality, and that's what NeuroSpicy means to me. So it's all the different elements of me, my personality, my preferences, my experience come into the one thing. But also it's the connectiveness of entrepreneurship and neurodiversity. Those two coming together is fascinating to me, alongside with creativity and tech, are the four kind of key areas. In the last year or so, I've kind of brought these things together. I've noticed there's a need for, I want to be able to help others, to bring them together, for them to finding their tribe. I've found tribes, I've found connections in business, but I'm going a bit deeper and finding it where I have that real deep connection, because I work in a different way to everybody else. My fellow NeuroSpicies do as well. So if I can bring these people together, and the culmination of that very recently is, I'm very proud to share with you, so we can see this. I am a FSB award winner for the East of England. The NeuroSpicy Entrepreneur Club was awarded the Diversity Inclusion Award for this year. So I think I'm doing something right if I'm
Yep.
able to be acknowledged by that. But the wonderful thing about this is, and I think you'll agree with me, our brains are wired to seek novelty, to seek interest, and to keep being stimulated. And with my photography, I've done that. With the collective, we've evolved. We're doing different things. Now, what I'm noticing is there's always a continuous thread between what I'm doing. With the NeuroSpicy Entrepreneur Club, it is bringing people together. It is like-minded individuals. It's contributing to each and other's lives by making it better, by making connections, by working with each other. The industry for small businesses and our NeuroSpicy, workers are huge. Let's bring these people together. So there's a thread there. The thread continues along normalizing the use of fidgets, helping people with individualized toys like this, which is another thread that runs through us as well to champion this kind of difference. And then finally, with the collective, it is working with these individuals to champion them, to share their stories, to get them content that gets them noticed and to amplify their message. So there's a definite link through that. So that's where I am right now.
Amazing. And yeah, I'm loving all of the connection, bringing people together, highlighting and putting a spotlight on the creativity and the brilliance that neurodivergent people can bring,
Yes.
when their needs are met, when their environments are good for them, for us, we
Mm,
thrive. And that's lovely that
precisely.
and I love the fact that you said about normalizing the use of fidgets. I
Oh yeah.
can't find my cube right now. Luckily, I'm standing here with my cube now. I'll just be doing this, doing ticks and everything. But yeah, normalizing it, And when I deliver training, I've got blue tack and I'm standing there doing this, and I'm like, this is me. It's taken a lot of time to get there. But it's like I'm talking about this stuff. Let's do it.
Yeah, precisely.
So
It was the most like loveliest thing. So NSEC, our community, meets every other month. Part of it, XW3D sponsors it by everybody that comes in gets a fidget toy. So it might be a fidget bolt, fidget cube. We've got fidget animals that we play around with. And it's the most like heartening feeling to see there. We do a presentation or we have a chat. Everybody has this in their hands and there's a clickety clack, clickety clack, and that's the normalization of it. It's making it, because I mean, it's very common. People realize that actually in the past, you would have said, take that away, that's a distraction. No, this really helps me focus and helps me really clear my mind to be able to be focused on the task in hand. So, yeah.
love it, love it.
Mhm.
Great. So what helps you? Fidget toys, obviously. Any other tips that kind of particularly help you
Yeah.
that share?
Goodness me. So what helps me is certain tools. I'm gonna kind of maybe divide this up into like personal and business. So let's talk about like business stuff. With me, there are certain things I hate writing. Although, as I said at the beginning, I've normalized my life to fit in, to make myself do it. So even though I question myself, I go, "Oh, I'm a bit rubbish about that." People are like, no, you're eloquent and clear, but it's still kind of a thing. So I prefer, where possible, not to have to type things.
Mm.
I'll use voice notes. I use a fantastic video messaging service called Loom, where I'll be able to send, I can. It's a lot harder for me to type and explain something where I can use a video thing where I can record my screen or myself, and I'm like, this and this and this. How does this? So being able to do that in that way. I think it's also having the something we were talking about in the community recently is having not the permission but the understanding to, you can do it this way, you can say this is how I work. If you want the best of me, this is how I do things. So the best of me is using things like my voice notes and my video kind of things, which works really well. Other bits and pieces, I think my biggest one, moving kind of more into personal and links in with work, exercise.
Mm.
I cannot tell you the difference I have when on a day, if I'm going to the gym in the morning, I always have to go in the morning, so I won't leave the house when I get home. There's no point. But I lift and I do a lot of weights, and I like to kind of look at that, the progress I've made over time. I'm focused, I am calm, and once I have exercise, that works hugely for me as well. I mean, what do you find that similar to you? Do you find exercise useful or?
Oh my gosh, yeah, and I was just talking about this to my coach. I've overgone a big health transformation, and now I'm onto the exercise. And this morning I went to the Sea Lanes, an outdoor pool in Brighton, 50
Lovely.
meters, and it was just so lovely. And I don't know if I was swimming fast or slow. I was just like, this is the best thing ever. And now I've come back and I feel so refreshed, and I'm standing here and I'll be able to work. My concentration will be much better. I
Mhm.
know it will. So I totally agree with you on the exercise.
No, precisely that. That's been something that's been big for me. So I lift. I have a PT who focuses specifically on like boxer size, and it's a running joke in our household that I'm like twice a week, I'm gonna go punch Lewis now, and my husband like, go on then, go punch Lewis, and
Go
it is
bash him
that
up.
it is that relieving of tension and getting that out and kind of having the cardio and having the things as well. I'm just thinking kind of otherwise, you mentioned coach. I work with an amazing Sarah Kedge, and she's
Mm,
been part of our community right from the beginning. Having that person who, and I think going back to what I mentioned to Susie about a large chunk of my life has been fitting in and trying to be
mm,
neurotypical with my neurospicy brain. This year has been very much about working with individuals that understand my neurospicy and probably neurospicy themselves. So there's a more of an empathy there. There's more of an understanding of what I go through, what I deal with, and working on ways because the thing is, as a small business owner, when you start a business, it's like you must have a business plan and you must do this and you must have this in place. And you're like, why? Why is this why for me? No, this does not work for me. And I think one something that me and Sarah do quite a lot is that it's not kind of right. Sarah's not the kind of coach that goes off and says, next week you'll have homework. I want you to come back and give me 5 leads. And I'm like, it's worked in the past, but it's not in the part of my life I'm at right now. And what she says to me every week or every time we say it is like, what's most important for you today?
mm,
And it's like, what do you need from us right now? And something I've learned from her as well, and talking about what helps me is I have a wonderful and I have to say splendid relationship with my husband. I couldn't ask for anybody better than him. We've discovered through our relationship, and it's just over a decade we've been together. We've been married for 5 years this year. Um, we communicate a lot. Like we have very open communication, and it kind of didn't always be this way. There was sometimes that we'd shove stuff down and wouldn't discuss it. And this is before we knew he was neurodivergent. And then at COVID, obviously there was lots of walking and lots of
mm,
getting out in nature, and it was a part of routine. And we implemented a thing called a Saturday check-in. And our Saturday check-in is exactly that. We would go find somewhere to walk and we would basically be absolutely 100% honest. How are we feeling? Is there something bothering us? What's bothering, what's going on in the week? How do I feel? Those kind of conversations have been transformational for our relationship. That if there is something wrong, if it's not, we won't bottle it up until then. We've the frequency is monthly. Sometimes it changes if we need more. At the moment, we're needing more for various personal reasons. Um, but it's the communication. It's saying, "I need you to do this," and that's another word. It's the words I'm using are different. I need you to do this. These are my boundaries. This is what I need from you. Is this what I'm assuming? Am I thinking this correctly? So yeah, we have a really clear communication system. We have a lot of time for each other, but we equally do things that we want to do. We equally spend time with other friends. And in the last couple of years, it's been really understanding there are certain things. So it's a fun situation where I'm the organized one and I'm the planner and I do this. If there's a massive catastrophe and something goes terribly wrong, my husband's like on it. He's
Yeah.
great. He's the grounder. He's like, we'll do this. And I always did discover that he's always, doesn't mind me saying this, but he's always been my supporting actor. He's always the one that's like there to help ground me or there to smooth things out. Or I'm like, I'm so excited about this thing. And he's like, have we thought about this and this? What about this and this and this? And I'll be like, all right then,
Yeah.
fine. But no, I would say the relationships I have in my life, specifically him, and that importance of having clear, honest communication, having that space to have that time to,
Yes.
is massive
Making
importance. So,
Yeah, and you're making that space, and that's, I think everything comes back down to communication.
mm,
It's affects how we feel, how we act, how we think, and you can get that right, you're kind of halfway there, and your husband being the supporting actor in your life so that you know that if things go a bit wrong or unexpected, he's there as well. I mean, yeah, what a great partnership, and I think you've really hit on something there with the communication and
mm,
relationships.
mm,
So, yeah, finding people that really get you. Um, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
exactly.
So, tell me about some of your strengths. I mean, you've got creativity is oozing from you.
Thank you.
But what else? What other strengths can you talk?
So, I was at an event not long ago, and it's a walk and talk. So I like looking at finding different kind of stuff. So this individual, lady called Claire, who's in Cambridgeshire, she does a walk and talk. It's called Real Talk Field Walk. So we'll go somewhere and we will walk and we will be in nature, and it's wonderful. Something I've recently implemented with the unset community. We did our first brain walk on Monday. Um, and she sometimes themes it, sometimes not. And this one was basically, what we were talking about, our superpower. So we had some time to halfway through the walk, sat down, and they came to me, what would you say your superpower? So like, what is your strength? And please forgive me for this. I basically have a strength where if I see something that needs to be done or nobody's doing it, I say, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll make it happen. I'll do the action. And I think I was quite astounded to see everybody around me go, ooh, I could never do that. And I went, but why? If there's something missing, make the thing happen. I've done it quite a few various different things. Like there's communities I've created in the past, or things I want to do. Basically, because if it's not existing, then I'm the one that can make it happen, and it can benefit me and other people. It's slightly selfish, but also altruistic, wanting everybody else to feel that way. So a bit of a superpower of action and kind of, and I think that might come to being NeuroSpicy, is you kind of, impulsivity. It's like, I'm going to do the thing because nobody else is going to do the thing, and then kind of work out the consequences later and see what happens. So I'd say that was definitely one of my strengths as well. I would also, along the same lines as, I've found that in the way that I've been successful through business, and I think generally through life, is being a connector, is having that open-mindedness of saying, okay, so I am a person that knows X and Y does this. X and Y. Why don't you talk to each other? Because you could do this. And I would say I'm a super connector. And I think this is the way that I've been so successful in the past couple of years, is I've attended 100,000 many networking events because I meet people and I like meeting people and I like getting to know people. It's all about our company is ethos is, personality driven content, is to really learn about that person and then translate that into what we do as a company. But it's a connector. It's like saying, okay, Susie, you're in Brighton. Maybe you'd like to meet some other people this here. And I spoke to an amazing gentleman called Matthew Bellringer. Not
Oh
sure.
yeah, yeah, I know
Yeah,
him.
but it's
Yeah.
Matthew, yes, and I was like, "Oh, Matthew, you might like to meet my client who does this," and so it's kind of like, how can I leverage my abilities and my network to help you? And I mean, obviously, I'm not expecting anything back, but it's a kind of, if I do that for you, then hopefully if there's somebody in your network, or there's somebody that could help me, or I need a connection, I can feel comfortable in that aspect to do that. Because business wise, and in life, in the sense of working together communities wise, if there's a connection that can be made, then I'm gonna hopefully ask that for you, and they'll be like, yeah, of course, that's fine. So yeah, I'd definitely say being a super connector. And then, as you say about creativity, it's really, really interesting thing. Kind of, there's a lot of debate around, because dyslexic brains are wired differently. And also to add as well, after my husband being diagnosed with ADHD, I then started really internally thinking about, do the things that I see with him resonate with me? And yes, they do internally, because as we may both know, being a woman and with diagnoses like ADHD is very underdiagnosed, because it being quite a male related, what's the word, male related stereotype, that women don't have these things, but they do. So I've then kind of looked into that and gone, I think that's something that I want to do. But going back to dyslexia, there is a common trope, a common assumption that because you're dyslexic, you are more creative. And I've picked around that a lot, but I also feel like, I think it's not just my dyslexia, it's because my brain is wired differently. I may see different things. For example, part of a project I did in 2018 in collaboration with the Cambridge University of Pathology, an amazing doctor called Dr. Andrew Chan, as part of the Creative Reactions Pint of Science big project festival that was in Cambridge. We were paired with a scientist, and Dr. Andrew Chan was a pathologist, and he made this idea of like trying to combine different portrait styles. So he came up with the concept of cheeky selfies. And what cheeky selfies are is that he got a few of his colleagues in his department to allow him to take cheek cell swabs, which he photographed under a microscope.
Oh,
He then gave me the cheek cell swabs, and I came into his office and I did some portraits. And what I actually did was I combined these cheeky selfies and smashed them together. So when you look at the individual, they have the overlay of their cheek cell in them. So it's a real inside out portrait. I don't think, as a quite a normal brain, maybe a neurotypical brain, would have thought of that so much. But I like to kind of really, that's the thing that I like to do. And we have clients that do want to push the boundaries and do want to explore and play. Having those kind of crazy ideas is what I'm able to do. So I'd say, yeah, creativity, my connective nature, and my fuck it, do it anyway attitude.
love it. Yeah, absolutely love it. And that's the thing, that's what makes the difference. And those sorts of strengths make changes, don't they, for you? And
Exactly.
like you say, for the people you're connecting with and interacting with. Love it. Okay. So what advice would you give to somebody that's newly identified or newly diagnosed as neurodivergent?
I personally would say, try not to get too researched. I think the major problem that people will have is that there's a lot of information that you've been given.
Mhm.
Um, you just gone through this whole long period of time being told that there's something quite different with you, and there's a lot to discuss about how wrapped up your identity is. Where does your neurodivergence start, and where does person begin? That's something me and my husband have discussed a lot, and how for me personally, mine is really encompassed and his is very separate. So there's a lot about your identity and how this works now with this new knowledge. And the trap that people may fall into is that they want to go research, they want to learn so much out there, it gets very overwhelming because you want to believe one way or the other. I think personally is an importance for something is to find your tribe,
Mm.
is to find other people that are maybe in different stages. So like you have just found out, maybe ask some other people what they're doing. How about finding people that maybe a year down the line, 3 years, 5 years, really going to them and asking them, what did they do? What did they implement? How did this make a difference for them? And I think there are some really, really valid and respectful like sources of information out there. But it's just taking it day by day, just understanding it. Because it's also there's aspects of you're gonna start learning so much. I think Sarah's Kedge's mentioned before, there's when you're within a relationship and now you have this understanding of past behaviors have an explanation. So you can say it's this. So actually, we are going to fall back in love with that person, but you're going to learn more about them and how they're way and how accommodations can be made between the two of you. It's going to be tough because you're going to have to start explaining to neurotypical individuals what it means when you don't even know what it means yourself yet. It's very frustrating. So it's kind of educating yourself and being quite clear on your needs. And that's something that takes time. I think for somebody who's newly identified or diagnosed, be kind to yourself and give yourself time to learn what your needs are and
Mm.
have that confidence to say, I need this. If you would like me to be a productive and efficient member of your team, your life, your family, I need these things from you. And if you don't give me these things, then please do not expect me to work other way. I have made it very clear. So again, we go back to the topic of conversation and communication. So it's really hard, but it's also freeing. And it's like a quite exciting yet petrifying time of your life to kind of go, whoa, this is all really hard to identify identity, but also understand what it means because you'll be asked, what can I do? What can I do? And you don't know. And it's
Mm.
okay to say you don't know, but at the same time, it's an opportunity for self, you know, understanding, self reflection, and working on ways that you can really work the best you can be. And that's what I'd say about them.
Yeah, amazing. Brilliant advice. Thank you so much. And thank you for being so open and honest. Really, such helpful stuff that the listeners are going to get a lot from. So, finally, Jemima, how do people find you? Where can they find you?
They can find me, yes. So, love to hear from anybody if you'd like to connect with me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jemima Wilcox. For our community, for the NeuroSpicy entrepreneur, if you have a look on LinkedIn as well, search the NeuroSpicy entrepreneur. Also can be found on Instagram as well. If you are interested in possessing one of our amazing fidget toys and or our dragons, which come in various different sizes as well, if you visit xw3d.co.uk, you can buy online. We deliver throughout the UK. And if you are in Cambridgeshire or in the, let's say, East Anglian South East region, we have got a number of craft fairs and shows we will be attending. So do find us on Instagram as well, XW3D Makes, and you can see all the locations. You can come see us in person and play with the things because we want you to play with them.
I want them. I've written down the website. Jemima, thank you so much for being here today. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's fantastic to share my story, and I very much hope it inspires others and your community.
I'm sure it will. Thank you.